Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 37. Apiya dhyanastvam sakrate hita prabhu jihasashi sweet surado nijivinaha yesham na chanyad bhavata padambujat parayanam rajasuyojita tam hasam.
Hare Krishna translation. O my Lord, you have executed all duties yourself. Are you leaving us today, though we are completely dependent on your mercy and have no one else to protect us, now when all kings are at enmity with us?
Text 38. Kevayam nama rupabhyam yadubihi saha pandavaha bhavato darshanam yarhi rishikanam iveshituhu.
As the name and fame of a particular body is finished with the disappearance of the living spirit, similarly, if you do not look upon us, all our fame and activities, along with the Pandavas, Yadus, will end at once.
Text 39. Neyam shopishyat tatra yathe danim kadadhar vatpader ankita bhati swalakshana vilakshitehe.
O Gadadhar Krishna, our kingdom is now being marked with the impressions of your feet, and therefore it appears beautiful. But when you leave, it will no longer be so.
Text 40. Ime jana padasriddhaha supakoshade virudaha vanadri nadi udanvanto hiedhante tava vikshitehe.
All these cities and villages are flourishing in all respects because the herbs and grains are in abundance, the trees are full of fruits, the rivers are flowing, the hills are full of minerals, and the oceans full of wealth. And this is all due to your glancing over them.
Text 41. Atha vishvesha vishwatman vishwamurte swakeshu me sneha pasham imam chindi dridam pandushu vrishnishu.
O Lord of the universe, soul of the universe, O personality of the form of the universe, please, therefore, save up my tie of affection for my kinsmen, the Pandavas and the Vrishnis.
Text 42. Tvayi me nanya vishaya matir madhupate sakrit ratim udvahatad atha gange bhogam udanvati.
O Lord of Madhu, as the Ganges forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else.
Text 43. Shri Krishna Krishna Sakha Vrishnirshavani Dhru Rajanya Vamsha Dahanana Pavar Gavirya Govinda Godvija Surarti Haravatara Yogeshwara Khela Guru Bhagavan Namaste.
O Krishna, O friend of Arjun, O chief amongst the descendants of Vrishni, you are the destroyer of those political parties which are disturbing elements on this earth. Your prowess never deteriorates. You are the proprietor of the transcendental abode, and you descend to relieve the distresses of the cows, the brahmanas, and the devotees. You possess all mystic powers, and you are the preceptor of the entire universe. You are the Almighty God, and I offer you my respectful obeisances.
Text 44. If you could please move it up. Thank you. Sutta Uvacha Prithayetham Kalapadai Parinukta Khilodayah Mandam Jaha Sapvaikuntho Mohayan Eva Mayaya.
Sutta Goswami said, the Lord, thus hearing the prayers of Kunti Devi, composed in choice words for his glorification, mildly smiled. That smile was as enchanting as his mystic power.
Text 45. Tambadam iti upamantriya pravishya gajasa vayam striyascha swapuram yasyan premna ragna nivartitah.
Thus, accepting the prayers of Srimati Kunti Devi, the Lord subsequently informed other ladies of his departure by entering the palace of Hastinapur. But upon preparing to leave, he was stopped by King Yudhishthir, who implored him lovingly.
Text 46. Vyasadvyayir ishware hagne krishnena bhutakarmama prabudita pitihaser na buddhyata shucharpitah.
King Yudhishthir, who was much aggrieved, could not be convinced, despite instructions by great sages headed by Vyasa and the Lord Krishna himself, the performer of superhuman feats, and despite all historical evidence.
Text 47. Aha raja dharma sutash chintayan surdam vadham prakritenatmana vipraha sneha moha vasham gataha.
King Yudhishthir, son of Dharma, overwhelmed by the death of his friends, was aggrieved just like a common materialistic man. O sages, thus deluded by affection, he began to speak.
Text 48. Aho me pashyatagnanam hridi rudam duratmanaha parakshayeshva dehasya bahyo me shohi nirhataha.
King Yudhishthir said, O my lord, I am the most sinful man. Just see my heart, which is full of ignorance. This body, which is ultimately meant for others, has killed many, many phalanxes of men.
Text 49. Baladvijasurnamitra pitra bhratra guru druha nameshyan nirayan moksho he api varshayutayutah.
I have killed many boys, brahmanas, well-wishers, friends, parents, preceptors, and brothers. Though I live millions of years, I will not be relieved from the hell that awaits for me for all these sins.
Text 50. Naino ragna praja bhartur dharma yudhe vado dvisham iti mena tu bodhaya kalpate shashanam vachah.
There is no sin for a king who kills for the right cause, who is engaged in maintaining his citizens, but this injunction is not applicable to me.
Text 51. Strinam madhata bandhuna droho yo sav ihotitah karma bhegriha medyer naham kalpo vyapohitam.
I have killed many friends of women, and I have thus caused enmity to such an extent that it is not possible to undo it by material welfare work.
Text 52. Yata pankena pankamba suraya va surakritam bhutahatyam tathaivaikam nayagnermastum arhati.
As it is not possible to filter muddy water through mud or purify a wine-stained pot with wine, it is not possible to counteract the killing of men by sacrificing animals. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you for giving the
Thank you so much.
opportunity and sorry for any mistakes.
No, that was very nice. Thank you so much, Samudra Mataji and Chetna Mataji. Thank you so much for reciting so nicely. We'll share my screen now. Okay. Jyoti Mataji, I'm not able to share my screen.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I made you host. Let me check. Yeah, try now, Prabhuji.
Yeah, I can do now. Thank you.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we are discussing verse number 47, Canto 1, Chapter 8, verse 47. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashcha Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Vir Bhavati Naishtaki. Verse 47. Aharaja Dharmasutas Chintayan Suridam Vadham Prakritenatmana Vipra Sneha Moha Vasham Gataha. Aharaja Dharmasutas Chintayan Suridam Vadham Prakritenatmana Vipra Sneha Moha Vasham Gataha. Word for word, Ah said, Raja, King Yudhishthira, Dharma Sutaha, the son of Dharma, Yamaraj, Chintayan, thinking of, Suridam, of the friends, Vadham, killing, Prakritena, by material conception only, Atmana, by the self, Vipraha, O Brahmana, Sneha, affection, Moha, delusion, Vasham, being carried away by, Gataha, having gone. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. King Yudhishthira, son of Dharma, overwhelmed by the death of his friends, was aggrieved just like a common materialistic man. O sages, thus deluded by affection, he began to speak. Purport. King Yudhishthira, though he was not expected to become aggrieved like a common man, became deluded by worldly affection by the will of the Lord, just as Arjuna was apparently deluded. A man who sees knows well that the living entity is neither the body nor the mind, but it is transcendental to the material conception of life. The common man thinks of violence and non-violence in terms of the body, but that is a kind of delusion. Everyone is duty-bound according to one's occupational duties. A Kshatriya is bound to fight for the right cause, regardless of the opposite party. In such discharge of duty, one should not be disturbed by the annihilation of the material body, which is only an external dress of the living soul. All this was perfectly known to Maharaj Yudhishthira, but by the will of the Lord, he became just like a common man, because there was another great idea behind this delusion. The king would be instructed by Bhishma, as Arjuna was instructed by the Lord himself. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayamarupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanutam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan She He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shibhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesa Sunyavadi Paschata Deshadarine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langate Girim Yakripa Tamham Vande Shri Guru Tiratam Paramananda Madhvam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna devotees, thank you very much for being here this evening. Now, for last few verses, we started a new section, so that the chapter is entitled Prayers of Queen Kunti. Now, after the wonderful, most amazing prayers by Kunti Maharani, we are gradually moving on to the next set of prayers by Bhishma. And between the two, there is this pastime of Yudhishthir's bewilderment. So it's interesting how the verse says, Aha Raja Dharma Sutas. So just reminding, this is the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam, how it is constructed, every verse, how the names are mentioned in the verse, very relevant to what's being spoken or what's overall message of that verse. So this is there's a contradiction here. Dharma Suta. So who is Yudhishthira Maharaj? He is the son of Dharma. Who is Dharma? Yamaraj. So he is well versed in all scriptures, all the understanding of Dharma, and he's not an ordinary soul, first of all. So Sneha, Moha, Vasham, it can be applied to the normal conditioned souls. Now, how do we define, how do we understand someone like son of Yamaraj? Yamaraj, who's the authority of giving the results of one's lifetime. So life is like an exam. And all that we have done preparation. Death is the exam. Life is the preparation. So Yamaraj is responsible for giving out the results. Pass, fail, you go here, you go there. Now he can't have any emotions in there. He can't be saying that, oh, sorry, you're dead. You come to my place here. She can't be. So, and now the same Dharma Sutta, son of same Yamaraj, is lamenting about the death of his relatives. Now, how do we understand this? Is this correct? Is this something acceptable? How can Yamaraj, son Dharmaraj, Yudhishthira Maharaj be in lamentation? But it is not wrong to lament for the loss of one's near and dear ones. There are many pastimes of lamentation, like Arjuna. When his son Abhimanyu died, he was lamenting. He could not stop crying. So that was after hearing Bhagavad Gita. So we will come to Bhagavad Gita as what happens in Bhagavad Gita. The first chapter is entitled Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Vishada means lamentation. That's a yoga. That is also yoga. So what is that yoga? So Arjun was also lamenting. Even Vyasadeva, when Shukadeva Goswami left straight after his birth, he just walked away. Vyasadeva was in lamentation that my son is walking away. Now who is Vyasadeva? And who is Shukadeva Goswami? Where is the lamentation here? What's the reason that Vyasadeva would lament? And what to speak of Lord Ram when he was in the forest and Mother Sita was kidnapped? Lord Ram himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was displaying so many expressions of lamentation. He was crying here, he was asking the trees, and he was asking everyone, have you seen my Sita? Have you seen my Sita? So how do we understand the lamentation? So it's definitely, we can conclude that the lamentation is not unfair, because when we read Bhagavad Gita, we may sometimes understand a little bit about soul, although Krishna says it's very difficult to understand soul. But there can be tendency sometimes to not have empathy for someone else's loss. And it actually happened one time. We were in a discussion, Bhagavad Gita, someone asked a question, my relative recently died, how should I see this? And the speaker at that time was probably in a different mood or was on another meditation. They said, well, we should not lament. Whoever has died would have received another birth. Jata Shri Dhruva Mrityum. So whoever is taken birth is certain to die. So what is the lamentation? So that was not good, because we never saw that person again in any of the sessions. And we have to have, as Vaishnavas, we should be para dukkha dukhi. We should have we should share the distress of others, and we are pasuk, and we are happy to see others happy. So it is a very important aspect, that lamentation is not unreasonable, not unnatural. Even someone is a devotee, or someone is a great soul, or even the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although we know that that's all Lord's pastime, but there is a lesson for us. So we should have empathy. Now, what happened in the situation here? Yudhishthira Maharaj was lamenting. And why was he lamenting? What happened? So as the ladies and everyone was, they were offering the oblations to the dead, they were returning. And Yudhishthira Maharaj was, now, I'm not sure whether it was already, yes, he was already the king, so it's mentioned the king, Yudhishthira. As soon as the throne is empty, the king, immediately there has to be king. Like recently we had, loss of our queen, and then immediately the king was announced following day, although the coronation can happen at a later date. But the Rajgaddi, how do you say, the throne must have the occupier, there must be a ruler. It was the Vedic tradition, and even practiced as we see in this country here. Now, Yudhishthira, on the way return, he's seeing, suddenly it happened, like everything was going okay. And then what happened? What was the change? So he saw the ladies coming back. Now, when he saw that, the tears in the eyes of Draupadi, tears in the eyes of Subhadra and Kunti Maharani, everyone was in tears. It suddenly came to him that, oh, look, and now he's the king. So normally we would think that someone who has taken the position of king, he should be rejoicing, oh, I am now the king of the whole world. Like Yudhishthira Maharaj was the crowned king of the whole world at the time. But Yudhishthira Maharaj, being a devotee, now he's para dukkha dukhi. He's seeing the sadness, the grievance there, and he's now thinking, this is another quality of a devotee, that now I have become the king, and all these, my near and dear ones, are in sadness. Now he's relating that other sadness to say that, oh, actually it was me, it was because of my desire to become king, all these things have happened. Now this is where things start to go a little bit wrong there. So again, as we have already read within the purport, this is the desire of the Lord, but we have to see from our perspective. So yes, we agree that the lamentation is natural. But what's happening with Yudhishthira Maharaj now? He's seeing this slightly differently. He says that I have become the king. So he starts to feel guilty. So he's not now seeing the hands of the Lord in the situation that Lord Krishna wanted him to be the king. Because Lord is here to establish the religion. And Yudhishthira, who else or who was better than Yudhishthira to establish or re-establish religion? Now Yudhishthira is seeing himself as that individual. He's not now lost the sight of the plan of the Lord. And now he's saying, well, I have become the king, but at what cost have I become the king? And now he starts to take the responsibility of all that has happened. So what does he say there? He says that actually this Mahabharata, chapter after chapter, many verses, a very detailed explanation of the whole situation of Yudhishthira Maharaj and all the conversations. So we'll discuss a little bit depending on how much time we have. So when he sees the tears in the eyes of Subhadra, Abhimanyu has died. So who is Subhadra? Subhadra is sister of Lord Krishna. Now, if we see that way, if Yudhishthira Maharaj is now thinking that he is responsible and he's saying, what am I responsible for? For the death of Abhimanyu, who's the husband of Subhadra, who's the sister of Lord Krishna. So how can I do this? How could I not think about the result of this war that could happen? And now, how can I wipe the tears of this, most auspicious Subhadra? And what would Lord Krishna say? He says in Mahabharata that when he will go back to Dwaraka and all his relatives will ask, how did it happen? How could Abhimanyu die? Because Subhadra has become widow. How will Lord respond to it? So I put the Lord in difficulty. Now he first of all starts to think that way. Yeah, I put the Lord in difficulty. And then he sees Draupadi. What's happened with Draupadi? The whole of Draupadi's family was wiped out. All her sons were killed by Ashwatthama. We discussed that previously. Her brother, her father, everyone is dead. Uttara's brother and her father, they are all dead. When he's looking at all that, he's saying, everyone is dying, everyone is dead. And again, taking the responsibility is because of me. Now, this is not right. And this is, as we said, now he's lost that plot there. Okay, we go ahead from there. So, actually, in the same episode, what happens is, as Yudhishthira Maharaj was returning from there, actually, Narad Muni was also there. And Narad Muni always asks the right question, the right time. He asked Yudhishthira, actually, as per Mahabharata, that are you real? He actually, before the Yudhishthira Maharaj's lamentations, erupts. It's, sometime it happens like that. We are, controlling our emotions. and someone says something, and that's when we really burst. See, Narad Muni asked this question, are you feeling remorse? And that was just the moment he said that, Yudhishthira Maharaj was completely broken. And that was the moment that was needed. Now, this is how the Lord's plan works, how Lord gets his near, most dear devotees to start creating the scenario. It was Narad Muni actually who started this. So Yudhishthira Maharaj at that time, now what happens with the situation that he was in, and that could happen with us as well. When we see something has gone wrong, the first thing that comes to mind is how we could have avoided it. The thought comes to Yudhishthira's mind now. Just before this, at the time of the oblation that ladies were offering, he saw that the feet of Karna was very actually similar to his mother Kunti, and we won't go in that detail. And he gets to know who Karna was. He suddenly starts to think that, well, we could have actually avoided this war only if we knew that this Karna was actually my older brother. If Karna would have turned to the Pandava side, then the war could have stopped. Actually, Krishna said that to Karna. If you go there, Yudhishthira will easily give you, because you are the older brother, he will give you all the position, the war will stop. Obviously, Lord didn't want that. So Yudhishthira Maharaj thinking that if I knew before that this Karna was my brother, only all my brothers, if all Arjun, Bhima, everyone knew that, there was no way we would have fought. And in this war, I killed my own brother. Talk about this. All the others who died in the family, he also takes the responsibility of, oh, how terrible it is that I killed my own brother. I'm responsible for that. And he starts to become inquisitive. What happened? How did it happen? How did he die? How did his wheels got stuck in the earth? He starts to ask Narad Muni why it all happened. Please tell me. The Narad Muni tells him the whole story of what Karna's position actually was, for whom he was lamenting. Yudhishthira, what was the background of that Karna? We all know that. I won't go in that story. But he was, all his earning of weapons was actually a cheating. So, but in that moment, Yudhishthira Maharaj was in that mood of lamenting. Now, who's responsible? Coming to that story, that's our condition. When we have difficulty, when anything goes wrong, who's responsible? How we could have stopped? Oh, it's because of me, but maybe someone else was also responsible. He starts to think, oh, it was maybe Kunti's mistake. She should have opened up this before, and I would have stopped this. Actually, I just remembered in the same episode, he curses the whole of the female women, that no woman can actually ever keep secret. This is what Mahabharata says. It's not in the Srimad Bhagavatam, so we don't need to take seriously. In the same episode, it happened. He was so annoyed. Now, this is his situation. And then looking at the situation, his brothers start to, come up to him and start to pacify him. Arjun had heard the Bhagavad Gita. He knows the reality, body and soul, the difference and everything. He starts to speak to Yudhishthira Maharaj, tells him a story of how some Brahmins, actually, something I forgot to say is, Yudhishthira Maharaj in that lamentation said exactly what Arjun said. He would live on the tree fruits and roots, and he would just perform tapasya. That's what he should do. He should not become a king. He will give up this kingdom. Whoever wants to become king, they become king. I'm going to walk away from here. This is not my place. It's all because of me. If I give up this is another thought for us. If the difficult time comes, you want to walk away from it. I don't want to face it. I can't face all this. I just want to walk away from here. So living my dharma and living my duty, this is too messy, too difficult. I can't handle this. Let's walk away. That can happen. So this is again bewilderment of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Arjun tries to explain him, tells him many pastimes. Bhima becomes the next one. He goes and starts to talk about Kshatriya Dharma. Yudhishthira Maharaj, he cannot be consoled. He cannot be. Nakul comes forward and he starts to give examples of how the charity, the wealth, some of the kings should have the wealth, they should have a charity. It is not about giving up the kingdom, it is about giving up the fruits. So how do you give the fruits? You perform sacrifices, you perform Rajya Yajna, you perform Ashwamedha Yajna, you should perform lots of yajnas, and you can't be doing this. So Nakul says that. Sahadev also comes along and he also starts to pacify his brother, saying the facts about the soul. We're not this body, we're the soul. He starts to talk about immortality of soul, the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And after the brothers have finished, then Draupadi comes along, and Draupadi says something really interesting. She says, how can you actually forget what happened previously when we were in the forest? You promised all your brothers that at the right opportune time, we will punish this son of Dhritarashtra. And what has happened to us was completely wrong. How can you forget all that? You cannot forget that. It was your promise that we would slay the Kauravas. And now that Draupadi says, I've lost all my family, all my children, and now you're also walking away. I was promised the happiness by your mother Kunti, that you'll always keep me happy. And now you're abandoning me. So how is that going to work? So Kunti was saying, no, you can't do that. You can't break your promises. You can't forget your dharma for me. Like then again Arjun comes, many pastimes happen. You can't say that. So again Bhima, and finally Vyasadeva also says, Vyasadeva, says a few stories. And most of these, brothers, and they start to recite some stories from the scriptures, how previously the kings have done differently, what is the true religion, the duty of a king, of a Kshatriya, everyone explaining that. So it doesn't work, as we were discussing yesterday, and as it's in the purport here. When it is the Lord's will, nobody can change it. If Lord wants, He's sitting in everyone's heart. If Lord decides something, that anybody could be bewildered. So this is Maharaj Yudhishthira bewilderment. Says what is Lord's position. He has a plan, and with one one act, there are so many purposes being served by the Lord here. So this is the wonderful aspect of the Lord. Krishna also actually, when everyone is finished, then Arjun starts to look at Krishna. Now, you told me Bhagavad Gita, I was in exact same situation, and you came forward and you spoke the whole Bhagavad Gita to me, how you actually, pulled me out of my delusion. Now you need to do something, Lord. So Krishna smilingly, as he started in Bhagavad Gita also. He smiles and he starts to again speak to Yudhishthira Maharaj, and cites many reasons and stories, but he cannot be convinced. So how do we understand this? The question. So there are This is all lamentation at the material level for a conditioned soul to lament. If we understand it, there's also the lamentation of materialist people. They are always lamenting. People who are actually, we could also be in that situation, but people who are mostly inclined towards the material life, in their life, there is lamentation and lamentation and lamentation. The devotees' gift, what gift we receive as devotees when we take up Krishna consciousness is, and when we start to learn a little bit of truth, understand the truth of material life, we start to become a little bit detached, or maybe develop some understanding. What is the end of this material life? Anyway, it is all temporary. Whatever we have gained, we are bound to lose that. Everyone is bound to lose that. As we develop that understanding, small things, small losses do not cause us much lamentation. And to the degree that we develop our Krishna consciousness, to that degree, we start to become less attached to the material life, and which is the very reason for anyone's lamentation. Actually, to the degree someone is attached, excessive attachment, यही संस्पर्श जाब होगा दुख योनय एवते अद्यंतमंत कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते गुहा. A devotee understand that, or Krishna explains, devotee understand that whatever pleasure we gain out of the material senses becomes a source of misery by itself. As we understand this, we start to lament less. And how does Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter starts to explain? Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kankshati. Shochati, this is the shocha means shocha, shoka, they're all, both the words mean the same, lamentation. A Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, one who is in the Brahman state, he does not lament, he does not hanker. No hankering, no lamentation. Sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti lavate para. At that stage, someone can start to get the true bhakti, the understanding of bhakti. And then the lamentation can also be transcendental lamentation. That the Brajvasis, after Krishna had left Vrindavan, they were also in lamentation. Krishna in Dwarka was lamenting, missing his friends Gopas and Gopis, and the Nanda Maharaj Yashoda, he was also lamenting. That lamentation is like a transcendental lamentation. It is very difficult for common men, Prabhu says in a common man here, to understand that, because someone may say that, oh, these devotees are so sentimental. They just hear something and they're just crying. Mahaprabhu's, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, he was always crying in lamentation and separation. That is at the another dimension that we will understand. Once we stop, it's really interesting. Once our lamentation for the material life stops, after that, we can probably have some lamentation, which is transcendental spiritual lamentation, when we start to feel the separation from the Lord, which is not the same. What is the end result of a material lamentation? Is that it is a great disaster, misery, depression. The other aspect is lamentation of the great soul always results in a great result, always results in a great output. So when Arjuna was in lamentation, Bhagavad Gita was spoken. And the Bhagavatam also, when Dehavuti was also in lamentation. Then Kapila Dev spoke. And Chitraketu Maharaj was in lamentation. Then Narada Muni came and he explained, he gave him the whole science. and he became the great devotee of Shankarshan. There are so many examples of devotees in lamentation. They take shelter of the Lord. The Lord arranges them for either the Guru to appear or Lord himself appear and remove that lamentation. So when we have lamentation, or there will be reason to be distressed, the difference is devotee takes shelter of the spiritual master, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. If we take that lamentation, that shelter, the lamentation is gone, is wiped out, and it results in something better, something good. This is the difference of a material lamentation and lamentation of a sadhaka. In sadhaka's life, we lament life. Also, sometimes we might feel guilty. This also actually is healthy to feel guilty that what we did before we started our Krishna conscious life, what mistakes we might have done. So sometimes devotees feel, and there are so many songs of acharyas that Bhaktivinoda Thakur's and Sharanagati is so much lamentation. But that's at another level lamentation. And the lamentation can only be removed by a devotee. So Srila Prabhupada comes, he establishes this great movement, and how it has helped Artho, Arthati, Jigyashu, and Gyani, the four types of devotees. And it is found that mostly it is Artho and Arthi, which is either distressed people, Arthis, or someone who wants some Artha, some material gains. But significant actually is the Arthis. The Arthas, maybe they will come, they will get something and they will walk away. But Arthi who is distressed, when the distress is taken away, when he becomes grateful to the Lord, he can never walk away from the Lord. He will always stay. So this is truth in today's time. There are very few great souls who are inquisitive or who are already in the knowledge. Mostly people like us, when we're distressed, we take shelter. And when we feel grateful, because definitely bhakti is first, is what? It removes all the miseries. This is the quality in the nectar of devotion, the first quality. So it does help. And I will finish with one beautiful verse that I found looking for the Shoka word. This is the words by Kashyap Rishi, when the whole of this episode of Diti and the birth of Jai Vijay, taking as Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyakasha. At that time, as Kashyap Muni was explaining what will happen because of this birth, a lot of it, they will cause a lot of lamentation to the whole world. The demons come, so they create so much lamentation for everyone. But when a devotee comes, what happens? Lamentation is all gone. So this is the qualities of Prahlad Maharaj being explained by Kashyapa. Alam pata shila dharo guna karo, rishta para ridhya yatito dukhiteshu. Abhuta shatru jagata shukha harta naida gikham tapam ivo duraja. Translation. He will be a virtuously qualified reservoir of all good qualities. He will be jolly and happy in others' happiness. The quality of Vaishnava I will be discussing. Distress in others' distress, and will have no enemies. He will be a destroyer of the lamentation of all the universes, like the pleasant moon after the summer sun. So who can remove lamentation? It's only a pure devotee of the Lord. So this is Prahlad Maharaj, and we spoke about Srila Prabhupada also. Millions of people taking shelter, and their lamentation is destroyed. This is the power of the Lord and his devotees. Otherwise, the world is just lamentation and distress and miseries and losses and the depression following that. So we are so grateful to have received this knowledge and get connected to the parampara, that we are able to deal with lamentation in the right way. Lamentation is unavoidable, but how do we deal with the lamentation is the difference. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. I'll stop here, and maybe someone has any realizations, questions, or comments to discuss. Okay. Hare Krishna. So maybe no more question. No question at all today. Okay, thank you so much, devotees, for being here. And wish you a great Nityananda Trayodasi tomorrow, and have a good festival. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय,
जय
कृपा सिंधु जय पतितानां
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः.
हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Very nice class. Happy
Hare
New
Krishna.
Year,
Thank you,
everyone.
Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.